Have you ever wondered what makes some conversations feel so impossible? Today we're diving into some really interesting psychological insights about the conversational habits that can signal a lack of what you might call cognitive flexibility. And while the title says 5, we're going to see they really boil down to two big ideas: habits of a closed mind and habits of a rigid one. Let's get into it.
You know the feeling, right? We've all been there. You're in a conversation and someone is just steamrolling everyone with so much confidence, but every single thing they're saying is just completely, verifiably wrong. It's one of the most maddening things you can experience.
But what if I told you it's not just about a big ego, that it's not just arrogance? Psychological research actually suggests these patterns aren't just personality quirks, they're deeply tied to how a person's brain processes information, or maybe more accurately, how it fails to.
So here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we're going to tackle something called the intelligence illusion. Then we'll break down the habits of a closed mind and a rigid mind. And finally, we'll look at the path to having more intelligent, more productive conversations. Okay, first up, the intelligence illusion. A lot of us grow up thinking that being smart is about how many facts you have stored in your head, like a human encyclopedia. But what if that's got it all backwards? Real intelligence is way more active, way more dynamic than that. So if you take one thing away, make it this. True intelligence isn't about what you already know. It's about your willingness, your ability to learn something new. A mind that refuses new information is basically a closed system. It's slamming the door on growth. All right, let's get into our first big category of habits, the ones that all fall under the umbrella of a closed mind. This is where you see people using conversation like a weapon, not like a tool for discovery.
And this really sums it up perfectly. On one side, you have the person whose only goal is to win the argument no matter what. And on the other, you have someone whose goal is to learn from it, to walk away smarter than when they started.
And when your only goal is to win, you end up doing all these things, right? You interrupt people constantly. You argue just for the sake of arguing. And you actively shut down any new info that might prove you wrong. It's so true that the loudest person in the room is often the one who's least aware of their own blind spots.
This leads us right to a super famous idea in psychology, the Dunning-Kruger effect. This is the engine that powers that baffling, totally unearned confidence we see sometimes. It's where the person who knows the least thinks they know the most.
And this quote just nails it. It's a paradox. Their lack of knowledge is the very thing that blinds them to how little they know. It's like they're standing at the bottom of a huge mountain, but because they can't even see the peak, they just assume they're already at the top.
And this creates such a fascinating split. On one side, you've got this loud, unearned confidence that's really just born from ignorance. And on the other, you have what psychologists call intellectual humility. A lot of highly intelligent people are actually full of self-doubt precisely because they're so aware of the sheer vastness of what they don't know.
Ultimately, this is the most destructive habit of them all. The second you decide you have nothing left to learn, you've just put a permanent ceiling on your own growth. Curiosity just dies, and your mind becomes nothing more than an echo chamber for what you already think.
Okay, now let's look at how this all feeds into the second category, the habits of a rigid mind. This is all about a total lack of mental flexibility.
A simple disagreement might just be the best test there is for intellectual flexibility. How does a person react when their point of view gets challenged?
And the difference is just night and day. Someone with low cognitive flexibility hears a challenge to their idea and feels it like a personal attack. But someone with more mental flexibility, they see it as an opportunity, a chance to kick the tires on their own beliefs and see how strong they really are.
So why the angry, emotional reaction? Well, because it's easier. Actually engaging in a logical debate, holding two opposing ideas in your head at once and trying to reason through them, that takes some serious brain power. It's cognitively expensive. But getting angry or defensive, that's cheap. It's just a knee-jerk, impulsive reflex.
The technical term for this whole thing is cognitive rigidity, but all it really means is seeing a complex, colorful world in simple black and white. People with this trait struggle with nuance, so they reduce everything to simple extremes, good versus bad, right versus wrong, with no room for anything in between. So after going through all these really frustrating habits, let's talk about the way out. How do we flip the script and turn our conversations into actual tools for growth? Well, first, we have to get our priorities straight. In any conversation, the goal should never, ever be about performing or posturing or just trying to look smart.
The goal is to actually be intelligent.
And that means treating every single interaction as a chance to learn something, to grow a little, and to sharpen your own understanding of the world. It's a huge shift from performing to learning.
So how do we do it? It's a simple three-step process, though simple doesn't always mean easy. First, pause. Before you jump in to defend your point, just take a breath. Fight that initial urge to react. That little gap can change everything. Second, ask questions. Instead of making another statement, get curious. Say something like, hey, can you tell me more about why you see it that way? Or help me understand what I'm missing here. This completely changes the dynamic from a battle into a collaboration. And third, and this is the big one, listen. Listen to actually understand, not just to wait for your turn to talk. This right here is the foundation of every truly intelligent conversation.
And we'll end on this one. It's a really powerful, kind of provocative thought. It's the ultimate catch-22 of personal growth. The less you're able to self-reflect, the less you're able to even see the need for it. It's a pretty good reminder for all of us to constantly question our own certainties, to stay curious, and to never, ever fall into the trap